I didn't accept Bitcoin as a plumber, but I wish I had, because there are a lot of people in the Bitcoin community, whatever your trade is, if you're in a different trades, business, construction, there are a lot of people in the Bitcoin community that when you look on the Bitcoin map and you see there's a business accepting Bitcoin, I just go straight to that business.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions. I'm your host, Saida Gomez. In this lightning episode of 21 Questions, I'm here with Myles Dhillon, and we're going to cover 21 questions for entrepreneurs and tradespeople. Myles, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm just going to get like a timer ready so I can really monitor.
Okay.
How many seconds per question do you think that is that? 10 minutes divided by 21.
So it's about just less than 30 seconds, I would say.
Okay. 25 seconds per question. Okay.
Yeah. So I ask the first question and then I start the timer. But before we start, can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm Myles. I been in Bitcoin since about 2012 or 2013. I have a podcast which is for new guys or new girls into Bitcoin, and I just sold my business last year, and I'm moving into working in Bitcoin full time.
Amen. And you're also a Christian, which is beautiful.
Yeah, man. I run the Faith and Bitcoin meetup in London.
So remember, everyone, in this episode, you will see a Cashu QR code. If you are the first to spot it and scan it, 2,100 sats belong to you. Good luck. And are you ready, Myles?
I'm ready.
Ready. So first question, then I start the timer. First question. Okay. How can I save in Bitcoin if I'm only breaking even?
Okay, I think this one is a bit harsh. I think that if you're breaking even, you've got to do something to either reduce your costs or earn more money. That's not even Bitcoin advice. That's just general finance advice. You've got to do something because you're never going to get ahead. Even if you're not investing in Bitcoin, you want to invest in something else, you've got to do something. Side hustle, different job, upskill. There's no real soft answer to that. You need to earn more money.
Is Bitcoin better than keeping extra cash in my business account?
I think it depends how much. I managed to move cash into Bitcoin whenever I had enough or too much. But I think it is important to keep a bit of cash on hand because you just don't know when you're going to need that for something. And I know you can move out of Bitcoin pretty easily, but I think you don't want to have to sell Bitcoin unless you want to sell it. You don't want to be forced to sell Bitcoin. So I would say probably 50-50 on that.
How does inflation affect plumbers and other tradespeople?
Okay, this is a good one. It could be a bit long, but I remember I quoted a job. It's a big job, huge house conversion, all the central heating, all the heating, loads of bathrooms, and we priced it all in the middle of lockdown. And whatever the price was, when eventually the customer came back and said, okay, we're going to go ahead with this work now, I said, great, send over 20% deposit. And they sent 20%. And then I started going to buy the materials and I realized the price of copper had gone up by about 30%. And it crushed us. That it was such a large increase and it was such a large amount of copper going into this house that is one of the ways that it can really affect you. You don't realize how much things are going up.
How do I accept Bitcoin payments?
If you're a tradesman, I think the easiest way to jump on is to get a Lightning wallet. I think that's probably the quickest way to do it. If you really want to onboard your whole business, then in my country, there's a company called Coin Corner. I know that there are other companies in America that could onboard you, but I think probably if you're just getting started, just get a Lightning wallet, get Wallet of Satoshi. It's just the most easy, basic wallet, I think, to get used to.
If I lose my phone, do I lose my Bitcoin?
Yeah, if you're using Wallet of Satoshi and you don't back it up, then yes, you do. But if you're buying Bitcoin on exchange, yes, you could lose access, but very quickly you should be looking into what a seed phrase is and trying to understand how you can write that down, move it off the exchange. But short answer, yes, you could. But now you know that, you should work out how you don't.
What is self-custody and why should I care?
Okay, self-custody is what I was just talking about. So if you've got your Bitcoin on an exchange or on a wallet on your phone, you don't really own that Bitcoin. Someone's looking after it for you. But if you take self-custody, it's like when you bring your child back from the hospital, like the hospital staff are not looking after the baby anymore, you have self-custody of your child when you get home. And it's quite shocking when you get home, you think, oh my gosh, I've just got a baby in the house. It's the same with Bitcoin. When you take your Bitcoin in for yourself, that's you. No one else is looking after it. There's no bank manager or CEO or customer service to call. That's you taking control of it on your own hardware device or on a little piece of paper.
Is holding Bitcoin in an ETF the same as holding it myself?
Not really, no. It's a similar thing. It's similar to self-custody and a custodian like BlackRock looking after your Bitcoin. I'm not really anti those things. If you're just finding out about Bitcoin and you want to just get a little bit, I'm not anti buying a bit of the ETF, especially in the USA, and it's really easy for you to buy that through your current investing platform. But get a bit on the ETF if it's tax efficient for you, and then hopefully that then leads people into finding out about having Bitcoin in their own control.
If I run my own plumbing business, how could Bitcoin help me?
I think I missed a trick with this because I didn't accept Bitcoin as a plumber, but I wish I had, because there are a lot of people in the Bitcoin community, whatever your trade is, if you're in a different trades, business, construction, there are a lot of people in the Bitcoin community that when you look on the Bitcoin map and you see there's a business accepting Bitcoin, I just go straight to that business. If I saw there was a mechanic that accepted Bitcoin, I wouldn't necessarily pay in Bitcoin, but I would immediately go to that person. I might pay in Bitcoin, but I would definitely use that person because I would feel like there's some shared value there.
I work over 40 hours a week. How can I find the time to learn about Bitcoin?
I mean, like shilling myself here. This podcast is only 10 minutes. My podcast is like 10 or 15 minutes. You just need to listen to one episode a week and you just get so much value from that. So I don't think, similar to the I need to earn more money, break even thing, there's just like, you can make excuses if you want, but then you're never going to earn Bitcoin.
How can I avoid volatility?
I don't think it's to be avoided really, but because I think it's kind of baked in. It's kind of part of the ride, and we're in a down at the moment, so we're experiencing the ride, and it's hard. But dollar cost average, I guess, is the straight answer for that. Like, you can buy a little bit when it's down, buy it when it's up, buy it when it's in the middle, and then you end up with an average price. So you don't get this, you just get this through the middle. That's probably the best way to avoid volatility.
How much Bitcoin do I need to retire comfortably?
Let's just guess someone's 35, 20 years, 30 years of working, 65. You don't want to retire before then, do you? It's too bored. I don't know. 30 years of working. If you have 0.1 of a Bitcoin, I think over 30 years, you're going to be okay. But I reckon over 30 years, you can get to more than 0.1 of a Bitcoin. If you work in a normal average paying job, you can probably get more than that. But I think 0.1 of a Bitcoin is going to be pretty valuable in the future. If you get to 0.5, I think you're going to be the new elite.
What happens to my Bitcoin if the power grid goes down?
I mean, it's still there. Your Bitcoin is still there. I mean, I don't think the power grid is going to go down forever. Are we talking about a power cut or just like the end of the power coming in?
Power
I think, oh no, you're fine. Nothing's going to happen to your Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin mining just wasted electricity?
No, it's not. It's I often say it's like, do you think that two hippies banging a bongo in a field is a waste of energy? Yeah, I do think that is. But the hippies think it's a good use of energy to have eaten lentils and get to the field and bang bongos and sing a song and do dancing in the field. I think that's a waste of electricity. Do you think Christmas lights is a waste of energy? Like, maybe you think that's a waste of energy, but someone thinks that's valuable, and we think that it's valuable to use the Bitcoin network to mine Bitcoin and secure the network. Therefore, it's subjective. So you can't really say that it's not valuable, because I could find something that you think you use electricity for and it's not valuable. So no.
Should I mine Bitcoin at home or dollar cost average?
I don't think you should mine Bitcoin at home unless you live in a place where the electricity is really cheap, or you have access to renewable solar energy. You should probably just buy Bitcoin. It's also kind of a lot of work as well if you're just getting into it.
What's the difference between Bitcoin and crypto tokens?
Quite a few. The main thing is there's no sales team, there's no marketing team, there's no CEO, there's no one pushing Bitcoin on you apart from people like us. And we don't really benefit if you get into Bitcoin or not, but the people who are pushing those other tokens, they definitely do benefit, and they have a plan. They're like companies with CEOs, those other crypto tokens, all apart from Bitcoin.
Are there lower fees compared to credit cards when you accept Bitcoin payments?
Yes, I also found out about this more when I sold my business, because I used to have, we all had card machines when we go out and do work. And the fees were 1.8% of transactions when we were doing anything under £1,000 was 1.8, 1.4 when it was more than that. But that's a big chunk of money when you start doing large turnover. And a Bitcoin Lightning payment can be 0.1% and even 0.01%, depending on like how you're setting up your Lightning node. But yeah, even if you're just taking Lightning payments and you're doing it in the simplest way, it's cents. It's absolutely cents on the $100, not cents on the dollar.
Can I accept partial Bitcoin payments?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. I've done some partial Bitcoin payments for stuff. When people do stuff for me, I often say, when people do editing for me, I sort of pay partly in Bitcoin and partly in dollars. Yeah, so that's like really definitely a good idea.
What are the tax implications of accepting Bitcoin in the UK?
I mean, get your own tax advice, but you have to pay tax if you're accepting Bitcoin payments in the UK, unless you want to be sketchy. But you can be sketchy with physical paper money as well if you want to, but that's just up to you. But you should really pay tax. There's no tax loophole in the UK currently.
How can I protect my business from crypto scams?
I think if you don't buy anything that's not being sold to you, like if you just buy stuff when you want to buy it rather than buying stuff when it's being pushed to you, then like you'll be fine.
Why is Bitcoin valuable? Last question.
Because it's scarce. It's the only scarce asset in the world.
Awesome, you nailed it. There's like 5 seconds left on the timer. Well done.
I could have done 5 seconds more on the last one.
How did that feel?
Yeah, it was good. I loved it.
Yeah.
That's so good. It feels like you're on a game show.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of vibe we were trying to go for. And can I just say, I love your baby analogy. I think any first-time new parent knows exactly what it's like when all of a sudden the baby comes home and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
It's that feeling is so true. That perfect analogy.
It's crazy. There's no other institution that you walk out of or place, shopping center. The hospital kind of feels like a shopping center, the one that we were in. We left it with the baby in the carrier, and you're like, are we just going to walk out? Some beeper's going to go off when we leave, being like, beep, 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 beep. Like these guys don't know what they're doing. That it is crazy when you leave and you're on your own and you think, I have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, I remember I gave birth in a private clinic here, and my OBGYN, he is responsible for he's got a big post, and he's
Okay.
like, Saida, you need to stay here for the full 4 or 5 days. And I'm like, I need to go outside. I just need to be free. I
Yeah.
wonderful service, amazing meals, but I'm like, I need to go. And so he said, I'm not going to let you leave early. The midwives were here. They took really good care of me. And I was just so looking forward to being at home. And once we got home, I was like, oh, I can't ask a question.
Yeah. The midwives are pretty helpful.
Yeah, exactly. So that analogy was spot on.
Though on the flip side, people don't realize that with our third child, I think, he was like a bit yellow. He had that thing, jaundice.
Jaundice,
right?
yeah.
And and also something else. So we went back to the hospital literally like 2 days after we went home, and my wife was exhausted, didn't sleep, and everyone was tired. Our other kids were needing to be looked after, and we got in there. They did a little test on him, and we realized he's got jaundice. And then we were like, right, okay, fine, we'll just put him in the sun for a bit then, because we've got other kids, so we know what to do. But the hospital had done some pressure test on his wrist and really hurt his wrist and hurt it with Velcro thing, right? And then his heart rate was elevated. And I was like, obviously his heart rate is elevated because he's been stressed out but they wouldn't let us leave. They wouldn't let us, they were holding us in there. And after about 3 hours, it was getting close to sort of bedtime, normal bedtime. I was just like, guys, we are out, we're going. And they were like, no, you can't leave. I'm like, no, you do not control me. We can leave whenever we want. And we left, and my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, can we leave?" I was like, "Yes, we can. We can do whatever we want to." But we had to sign loads of stuff and like get out of there. But it was crazy. And obviously we've got very healthy children. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, exactly. Parents know best. Well, Myles, thank you for answering 21 questions. Again, I think this will be very helpful for an entrepreneur who's wondering, like, how can Bitcoin fit into the equation? Can you remind people where they can find you if they have follow-up questions?
Yeah, sure. Get me on my website, mylesdhillon.com, and then you can find my contact details and stuff there. Or yeah, I would recommend listening to this podcast, the other 10-minute episodes. You get loads of value from lots of different people in a very short space of time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cool. See you later.
My name is Halo Tarantula, and I'm an off-grid Bitcoin miner.